This is why the wall was a good idea, because it's not so much from 100% stopping them, but from preventing the border crossing.
Shit.
Because what some people do is they bring kids, and then it's really hard not to feel empathy and sympathy for kids coming across. But if you have a wall and you can't even see them, it's easier. But at some point, you just got to put your foot down and say, nobody breathing is crossing this line. And if you cross this line, we'll push you back. And if you're armed and you cross the line, we will kill you.
So are you willing to be the one with the gun that prevents them from coming? Because I don't want to do that.
No, I personally don't want to do it either. This is why we have real men in this world, to protect our borders. I'm not saying you and I are not real men, but you know what I mean.
But I don't think they are. I don't think being willing to kill someone who wants freedom or a better life.
See, this is that I feel sorry for them, because you do not know who is who. If you got people on the border,
sure.
if you got a Hamas terrorist, and he's trying to cross in illegally, I want a border guard to shoot him dead, hit him right in the head.
I don't.
Why?
Because I don't want to kill people trying to maximize their opportunity.
You don't want to kill. Did you hear what I said? A Hamas terrorist. You don't want to kill a Hamas terrorist who wants to come into our country?
Yeah, but to do that, you also have to kill all 9 of the farmers, right?
Well,
right?
Only if they cross.
And you're saying
and they don't.
But you're saying you want to vote for the guys that are willing to pull the trigger.
Yes.
You don't want to.
Yes.
I'm saying if you want to do that, then you should also be willing to pull the trigger.
Okay, I'll pull the trigger.
Welcome to the Trashcat's Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven. And today we're reviewing a live stream debate I had with one of my favorite atheists and thinkers. He's a brilliant philosophy debater, but unfortunately his politics are garbage.
Throw him in the trash.
Yeah, absolute trash. So I'm hoping Ricky can critique my arguments for future conversation.
I'm so glad you came to me for this. For the person who watches debates online nonstop, to come to me and say, "Hey, how'd I do?"
I genuinely, I did both better and worse than I expected, but I do really think you'll be able to have some insight into some of this. So
okay, cool.
But first, let's do how was your week?
Oh, it was pretty good. I have gained the experience and the knowledge to freely talk openly about what it's like to be the drug user that disappoints his friends and family by getting high and messing up appointments and letting people down. Yeah, I think I now have that experience to freely speak on that because we were supposed to record 2 days ago, but I got high. I told Steven I couldn't do it because it would be a bad time.
Sarah laughed. She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "He smoked too much weed. He's not showing."
Yeah. It's one of those where I was sentient and I wasn't freaking out or anything, but it was this is not going to be anything that we would have recorded the other day would have been I need to re-listen to all of that and check it.
I was so tempted to make you just for the jokes.
I was really tempted to not even tell you, but the thought was see if he can figure it out. But then I thought I don't want to do that.
You weren't fully transmorphed into the couch, but you were starting to melt.
Yeah, I was right about there.
Oh, it's funny, man.
Yeah.
It's the way she goes sometimes.
Yeah.
It's been okay. Did Thanksgiving. That was chill.
Yeah, got the turkeys in.
I'm still stuck and frustrated with art, but I'm working on it and just working on things. Chill. Get tattooed Sunday, which will be cool, and just doing okay.
What if you just hard stopped and just never made another piece of art again?
I don't know. I really don't know what would happen because I am really stuck between caring so much about it and just not caring at all. Like I even like the things I'm passionate about, there's part of me that doesn't care. So it's I don't know what would happen. But I think I need either way. I think I'd be fine, but I need an outlet for sure. So whether it's this, writing, or art, I need to, as long as I'm doing something, it'll be all right.
That's fair.
Yeah. So to preface this, I'm speaking to a man called Pinecreek, aka Doug. He was a practicing Christian for something like 40 years before becoming an atheist. In the years since, he's become a prominent atheist and speaker online, debating regular churchgoers to leading religious defenders on their beliefs. I've seen him outmaneuver hundreds of Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike. He willingly debates entire rooms full of people and holds his own against some of the smartest religious people online today. Fairly often, he's able to persuade people to abandon their religion or de-radicalizes them with a conversation or two. All this to say, I really respect this person. He's genuinely one of my favorite thinkers. He's much quicker and smarter than me, and he's run through these conversations thousands of times. While I do really respect him, I strongly disagree with him on many things. Particularly, his politics are very disappointing. I just don't want to prime our audience to hate him because as bad as his politics are, his philosophy is better and he does important work. To defend myself a bit, I hopped on this debate on a cell phone during work with no prep time. I've been preparing stuff for a conversation with him previously, but I just wasn't ready this particular day and I didn't want to miss the opportunity. And I'm not going to lie, he kind of dogs me for a lot of this conversation. He's walking me around on a leash for a while. But I think I got a few points on him that if I were him, would not look very good. And I'd imagine they will be leveraged against him to some extent in the future. My opening questions sound kind of dumb in retrospect, but a lot of the pushback he gets is about comments he's made about trans people. The previous stream to this, he was talking about tattoos and trans people. It's kind of hard to explain, but the vibe I get from him is that he just doesn't like both. Specifically with trans people, it seems that he always assumes they have to be mentally ill, even though he acknowledges that not to be true. And I wish I could offer better pushback, but frankly, the actual words he uses on the subject are never as bad as the connotations he implies, which just makes it really difficult. There's just a lot of complicated things kind of floating in the background of past conversations he's had, but that's what led me to hopping onto the stream. And I think that's enough context.
Yeah.
So love him or hate him, I would encourage people to check out his content. You can find him on YouTube under the name Pinecreek, and the stream we're going to listen to is from November 22nd, titled, "Come Talk to the Most Reasonable Atheist on the Internet," smiley face. I called in about 3 hours and 30 minutes in. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Boop.
Oh, there's a new name here I don't recognize. Xavier? No, SkyX?
Oh, my boy Xavier out here.
Xavier.
What's up, Doug?
Skyzix. You're new here, right?
I am. I've been watching.
God, that's cell phone quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your audio's kind of crappy, but I can hear you.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good looking out.
What did you want to talk about?
I guess my first question, what are your thoughts on tattoos? I heard you talk a little bit about it the other day.
I really don't care about tattoos.
Not what he said the other day.
But I think if you heard me talk about it, was in reference to the trans issue, and I'm against teenagers getting tattoos before 18. I'm okay with the law saying they shouldn't do that, or that tattooers should not do that.
Sure. When you spoke about it,
whatever.
It feels like your take on trans stuff is very similar to how you spoke about tattoos, where it feels like you just don't like it.
That I don't like tattoos.
And transness.
Transness.
I feel like he's being a little difficult.
Yeah, he's circling the issue.
Well, with the previous caller, I made it very clear that any parent should not want their child to be trans.
I disagree.
So his first point is that he doesn't give a shit about tattoos as long as they're not under 18 or whatever. He doesn't give a shit. Transness, what he just said is parents should not want their children to be trans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's a fair thing to say, or it has he's implying a lot of things in that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been going back to his past conversations. What I don't like is if you're pressing him on the issue, he's willing to separate out that, yeah, there might be a higher percent of people that do have mental illness or aspects of mental illness or higher suicidality, but he always assumes that is a given, or he generally assumes that is a given, and that because of that, those are bad things. Parents should never want their kids to be trans. I just don't feel like that's fair when he does that.
Yeah. And I mean, that also opens the can of worms with like, are these symptoms that people are experiencing, fully that they have a mental illness, or is it because they've had to, hide or shelter a part of their life for so long? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or is it other things? Like there's so many different potential reasons that it just feels like when he says parents should not want their kids to be trans, it feels like he isn't saying it because parts of things that comes with being trans tend to be negative, but more that being trans is negative.
Exactly, yeah.
I just don't like that. So that's because that had been what he was talking about previously. I wanted to bring it up. I wish I had better opening questions with that, but it is what it is on the fly.
Heard.
Not that I think a parent should want it either.
Well, hang on. How can you disagree and then say that? Do you think a parent should wish that their child's trans?
I said parents shouldn't want them to be trans either.
Or want that their child? Okay, so you agree with me then.
I don't think so, because it seems that you think it is inherently bad.
Well, if being trans means that someone is in pain and suffering, then yeah, that's like wishing your child be born with cancer.
I don't think it does inherently mean that.
Oh, okay. Well, you could be right, but we know statistically most trans people are not comfortable in their own skin. And that's why they need to transition, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Okay. So if you were a parent, you would not wish that upon your child.
Well, that's the point of being open rather than living in a society that makes it seem like a bad thing.
Yeah, and I didn't even go for that angle, and I wish I would have conceded a little less on that, but...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean... I would wish they don't have those negative aspects, but that doesn't mean I would wish that they're not trans.
Right. So you would want a trans person with absolutely zero identity problems, depression problems, or suicidal thoughts.
Sure, but even if they did have those issues, wouldn't mean I wouldn't want them however they are.
Right.
Like I feel like when you speak about it, you almost talk about it like it is a choice. Like you go back to the
No. I'm not going that far. No, I'm not saying it's a choice that you can choose to be trans or not. I'm not saying that. Not. What I am saying is I'm helping people understand.
Oh, he's helping people.
That
I feel mixed because he very often is, but I feel like when it goes into politics or a person talking about potentially having a trans kid, it feels like his connotations are just all negative.
If there is something to this social contagion, or that you can actually lead people into believing that they're trans when really they're not. So I'm not saying that that people don't have these feelings, this qualia. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it's not a good thing to be confused about your identity or believe your identity is that different from your body. That's not good.
I don't disagree, but
So he's implying, or not implying, he straight up says being confused about your body or identity is inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I agree with that. Like, I don't know if being confused about who you are or your body
That's like
is
a
inherently
part of being a human, period.
It's just a thing. It's like a neutral thing. It may feel bad. There might be aspects of it that are negative, but I don't know if that's inherently a bad thing that a person feels.
I would argue 100% that it's not a bad thing, because it's in those times where you start to question what does it mean to be you? What does your life mean? What does the value of it mean to you, kind of thing? When you start asking those questions to yourself, that's when you can grow and become the person that you want to be. You can start to structure that in that way. If you never question that at all, that seems like a sad existence.
Yeah, I tend to think so. A lot of times I feel like his understanding of trans issues, it feels very dated, and some of that might just be from the fact that he's been having these conversations a long time.
Yeah.
But he often goes back to like a two-body problem, that someone who is trans, for certain, they feel like they are in the wrong body of the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like he tends to think of it like you were born in a male body or vice versa and want to be in a female body. And one of the points I bring up to him is that there could be so many reasons that could be true, but it might not be because you feel like you were born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
It could just be as simple as you would prefer to be in a different body.
Right.
Like I don't think it can get instantly boiled down into, in his mind, what is statistically most likely as pure mental illness.
Yeah.
I just don't, where I feel like the things he is saying, I don't feel like he's inherently wrong in each of these points down the line, but it's all with the connotation of something much more negative.
Yeah. Right.
He's tricky. He's very smart.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of the reason so many people get offended when you talk about it, and I don't feel offended. I don't. It doesn't bother me how you.
I wish the
about it
offended
so
people
much.
would come on.
Yeah, sure. But I understand where they're coming from, because I feel like there's a lot of implications in how you speak about it. Like, it feels that logically you have your positions cut out, but that you're not,
Dude, I sound like a dumbass, bro.
that for you it's not a concern how they feel.
I freely admit that I am less concerned about people's feelings than other people. Yeah, I admit that.
Sure.
I think it would be if you came with like a list of bullet points of like, you said this time, speak more on that.
I think with prep, I would have done much stronger.
And I don't apologize for it.
That's fair. I just always get the vibe when you go into politics that part of you wants to be hurtful about it.
I've admitted that a part of me wants to help people get stronger.
I think he's full of shit there.
Yeah, that's not the same thing at all.
So one way to get stronger is to exercise your feeling hurtness muscle. So I actually think most people are stronger than they think they are. And like I said,
Sure.
all the people who might be hurt from me, like Stephanie and other people have said, I hurt trans people. Prove it. Show me a trans person who's been hurt by my words.
He always gets worked up over this.
Give me a name, have them come on, and then I'll ask them, have I hurt you? And then if they say, yes, you have, then I'll ask how, and then we'll talk about it. But it's almost always this other person you've hurt.
Sure. I don't care too much about that, but it seems like
Fucking great. Yeah, really, I don't give a shit.
it seems like you don't approach it the same way maybe you go when you go into politics. It feels like your approach isn't the same way you go into atheism. Like it feels
for
like
example,
He's pressing the points quick, which is really good of him from his perspective.
For example, you like to speak when you speak about trans people being mentally ill. It feels like the implication is that you actually believe that they are mentally ill out of a fault of their own, or that there is something inherently bad with. You go back to the feeling.
I don't think I've ever said that.
I know you haven't said that, but
Okay,
it
then
feels that way.
it feels that way.
I wish I had better language there.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, how do I argue against your feelings?
I feel like my point is strong there, but I don't know the language for that, because if he's not saying like the actual like condemnable points, but all the energy he puts out on it is, I don't know how to say with more authority that the feeling of what he is saying is it's not just the vibe I'm picking up. It's also the vibe he's intending to put out.
It's the thing that we see with Eric Kahn, which, by the way, fuck Eric Kahn.
Yeah, fuck Eric Kahn.
It's the thing we see with him where he talks about being masculine, being, don't be feminine, shit like that. But what he's not saying is femininity's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't say that part out loud, but in everything else that he's saying around it, that's what you're led to believe. That's what you can see that message through, even though he doesn't actually say that in those words.
Oh man, Pinecreek has a moment towards the end of this where he talks about like being a real man.
God.
It's pretty funny. But I
the atheist Eric Kahn.
No, he's better. It sucks, dude, because he is one of my favorite and best thinkers on philosophy. But for whatever reason, in politics, he has this, like, his old views from Christianity are still there. I don't quite know how to explain it. But what he had said earlier is that he does want to help people to feel stronger. And in his mind, I do believe that to be true. How I've seen him function in every other realm, he thinks what he is doing is like causing a small harm in hopes it helps make these sensitive people stronger. That's what he believes he's doing. And I do believe he believes that is true. But I think that is a bad approach in, not always, but in this, he's saying he cares about some people's feelings less than others, and that he's not really too worried about hurting people. And I had said, I think he's intending to cause more harm than he needs to. Right. And he kind of just acknowledges that to be true. And I don't really know how. I've been thinking about it. I just don't know the language to capture that. Just because I'm picking up on a vibe doesn't mean that's not what he is intending for. I don't know. He's slippery with it.
Well, when you talk about feeling that some people feel like they're born into the wrong body. There's the baked in that is that is because of a mental illness, where it's possible that some people don't necessarily feel that they're in the wrong body, but they maybe would prefer to be in a different body.
You're saying if you're saying that dysphoria doesn't happen to all trans people, yeah, I acknowledge that.
Oh, it stumped me.
Yeah. That's not exactly what you said.
It's kind of the root of what I was getting at, though, in a way. But when he's able to admit those parts of it, I don't know.
I think I've acknowledged that in the past, that not all trans people have body dysphoria. I've admitted that.
Okay.
I really don't care about trans people.
He said he doesn't really care about trans people. I feel like that was an opportunity I could have capitalized on a little bit more. Even though that's not how he meant it. But.
Yeah.
I'm consistent. I don't care about you either because you're a stranger to me. I'm not going to be rude to you though, and I'm not going to hurt you physically. Just I'm not going to hurt trans people physically. And if I say things that upset you, that's on you. If I say things to upset a trans person, that's on them.
I think that changes with intent.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying what your intent is, but I think if someone is intending to cause hurt, that kind of changes how that plays out.
He did say that he intends to hurt in the way to
make them stronger.
Exactly.
Intending to cause hurt. So have I done that?
I think you like to dabble.
I mean, he laughs, so that's a tacit acknowledgement.
Like I mean, that's your job, right? I mean, that's what makes it interesting. But I think,
like, if I say something that I truly believe and it hurts someone, is that wrong?
I think it can be if it's meant, or if it's done intentionally meaner than you needed.
Like, I'm talking specifically, the only time I've even gotten flack about this issue is because of my YouTube channel, because I talk and people listen.
I believe that.
If a trans person is listening and I say something that I truly believe and they're hurt, whose fault is it? Mine or theirs?
See, I think this is where my issue with him on this kind of the root of it. I feel like I sound dumber than I am. But I think he takes a bit of delight in causing the pain.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really is, like, if you say something mean to me and I feel upset by it, I don't know if that's just on me. Even if what you said is true. I think it depends on a lot of things.
Right.
Intent being the highest among them. If you say something
agreed
mean to me that is true, there's an expectation of, like, friendship, of respect, of what level, how true is it? How did you say it? Wasn't it said at the wrong time? There's so many factors, and if the person, even assuming what Pinecreek says is true, how it's said changes a lot, and he's kind of being open that his intent is to, even if it's to be, like, playfully or maybe not, like, ruthlessly, but he's intending to be harmful.
Right.
So I think people that are sensitive to the issue or that have a different understanding than him, it's very apparent that he's intending to be a bit crueler than he needs to be. And he kind of thinks, I don't know, that's a little funny to him. But he's the person that I've got a lot of the be a little more dead inside from. That's one of his big things. And throughout this conversation, another thing he says a lot is he's willing to bite bullets and he's willing to walk into traps. Like he'll say, if you want me to walk into the trap, I will do so without resistance. Like he wants to get to the root of the thing. And I feel like his answers to any of my questions are very honest, but that the difference is that he is not too much concerned about how other people feels, because that's not, in his mind, his responsibility.
Right.
I feel like we share, maybe not complete responsibility, but we share some level of responsibility in how we make other people feel. And he would disagree with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like it's occurring to me like I know how to give more commentary because I've heard this a couple times.
Yeah.
But I'm all for you taking the lead too. But I'm
stuck in the way of like I'm hearing it for the first time, so I'm I'm kind of reeling from that, and I'm more interested in like what your takeaway is than
okay,
cool. I think I agree. You can put this in too. I find myself agreeing more with you because I know how he's coming across. I know when you're telling him that this is how he's coming across, that I recognize that as well immediately with him.
It's so obvious. Like it's obvious. Like maybe all of his viewpoints. Like from past conversations, I know he's not the type of person that is like, adults can't be trans. Like he doesn't think that way. He's like, adults above the age of 18 can do whatever they want.
Right.
That's his view. But there's also this, how he speaks about it, it's also obvious that he thinks it's kind of a bad thing that they are trans, even if they are adults.
Yeah.
He's this type of person that is like, if they're under 18, there's no chance we can give them any drug options, surgery options, nothing. Where like maybe his ultimate conclusions aren't like the worst, most right-wing shit, but it's very clear how he thinks about it is very negative.
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point in the conversation, I don't feel like I'm doing well. I think I get a lot stronger on the later issues, but his audience is it's not all atheists, because a ton of religious people listen to him or just to disagree with him. He's debating religious people all the time, but his core base is atheist, and he's often at odds with them. And in this specific subject matter, a lot of his fans disagree, and I don't think many of them are offering good pushback. And I would like to think that there's other people like you in the audience that, even if I'm not coming off as strong as I'd like, at least can like feel the vibe of this part of the conversation and kind of tell where things are at.
Yeah, exactly. It's starting that pushback that if there are people in the audience that are listening that they're just kind of like shrugging it off and like it's not enough of a deal that they're willing to call in about it. It's at least making them go, okay, well, other people are seeing this too.
That was my hopes, at least. Yeah.
The correct answer is theirs.
I don't even know if it's anyone's fault, right? Because this is just how
it's
people
theirs.
feel, right?
Because number one, they can click off.
So he's saying it's whoever feels bad, it's their fault.
Number two, they can choose not to be offended. Do you believe people can choose? Like, I understand that we have these gut initial reactions, but I'm talking about choosing to be offended. Do you think that's possible? That people choose to be offended or not?
He asks good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm doing is I'm encouraging people to hear things that they strongly disagree with and choose not to be offended.
But to say that you can do that every time.
Yeah.
Okay. I just think overall, maybe you're more antagonistic than you need to be.
Well, that's
where
just
it makes you less sympathetic.
That's just a personal style preference, right?
It's
That might be. I mean, I like
when you're affecting other people, it becomes less of an aesthetic.
I like aggressive conversation. I like aggressive content, but it feels like with politics, it feels more abrasive from you when you seem to be.
I can
much
tell
more
exactly why you
empathetic.
feel this way.
Sure, tell me.
You're not a Christian.
No, not a
Right.
Christian.
So when you hear me say things
He's on it.
that Christians find abrasive, you don't. But when you hear
Correct.
me talk
But
about
that's
politics, then you hear me say something abrasive that you kind of resonate with against me. You resonate with the people who might be hurt. So this is why you have these feelings. Because you agree with me on the religious stuff, but disagree with me on some of the political stuff. So that's why you come on and say, it just seems to me you're different with the politics. That's because you agree with me on the religious stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's because we're right about the religious stuff
Yeah,
and some of your politics stuff. I don't think you are.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about that. Name one political thing you disagree with me on, and you could be right and I could be wrong. But what is it that we disagree on?
Then we kind of transition to politics.
I kind of hopped on impromptu. I wanted to dive
Other
deeper
politics.
into your specific review or
I wish I was
specific
prepared here.
political beliefs, but I believe you're Republican. I'm not sure where you fall on Trump, but you seem to lean pretty right on some things, and that seems slightly out of the norm with most atheist stuff. So I'm not quite sure, but I get the impression we're probably at odds on some of that.
Because
Okay, so you're not even quite sure what we disagree with politically.
So I feel like I came off weak there, but that's a prep thing. Like I would have, because I had emailed him about setting up a time to talk previously, and if I would have had the time, I would have had extensive notes. I would have been very prepped, and I just didn't. When he's bringing up, so you don't even know what you disagree on my politics. I know a bunch of the things, but I don't want to make any assumptions because I don't have like clips of him explicitly saying things. I don't have in my notes, I know you believe in X. I'm like pretty sure from memory, but I just don't want to be the person making assumptions.
You don't have the quotes written down and time stamped, and
yeah. So
I think that's that's part of his strat too. Is like we can schedule something for next week, but also we can just hop on now.
Run it now. He didn't do that with me, but he as we get further into this, I really can't understate his ability to come up with the right question quickly. Like there is a phone delay, but you can hear my pauses opposed to his questions are instant.
Yeah.
And as it progresses, he's setting up hypothetical questions that based on my answer will catch me in traps 2 more questions down the line. He's one of the smartest people I've witnessed having these conversations.
He's definitely practiced.
Very practiced.
Yeah, I'm totally comfortable admitting that.
I'm pretty sure he's pro-Trump, but I didn't want to assume.
Okay, I'm for law and order especially when it comes to hot topics like immigration. I think we should know who's coming into our country. Do you agree?
No.
Whoa! See, there's a major disagreement. You think it's okay not to know who's coming into your country?
Yeah.
Yes, Doug, I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.
Are you okay with Hamas coming into our country?
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. I couldn't care about our country.
This gets interesting.
What? You don't care about our country?
No. I have no allegiance to a nation.
Okay, this is good.
Fuck,
I love
Doug.
this. I love your honesty.
Let me pause.
Are you an American citizen?
As I've listened back to this a few times, I think I made the right choice to say no there.
Uh-huh.
Because part of this is I want to keep the conversation going. I'm both trying to build a bridge and not burn at the same time, while also staying
offering a tantalizing
pushback.
bridge.
Yeah, engagement enough that he doesn't want to just move on to the next person. I don't know if I really think. I don't. I'm. I think it is best we know everyone who enters the country, right?
Yeah, sure.
That would be ideal. I don't consider it a necessity in the realm of politics, in the sense that one side of politics wants to keep everyone out.
Yeah.
The other side pretends they want to let everyone in while also doing pretty brutal stuff.
Yeah.
So if the choices are letting everyone and no one, I am always going to let everyone in.
Yeah.
If I'm the one in charge. The question of, do you think we need to know who they are, doesn't really get at the root of our political difference, but it very clearly reframes me a certain way that looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So from his point of view, he asked the right question. And when he asked me it, I'm in my mind trying to figure out which door to go down. And I think I had to answer no to start the disagreement.
Yeah.
But my true answer would be a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, of course. There's so many things that when you ask a simple black and white question like that, there's no proper way to just say yes or no. It's without, it feels like you're picking, teams on the fucking political spectrum and shit.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
But from his point of view, he's asking the smart question to funnel me down a dialogue tree that makes me look bad.
Oh.
So I'm having to let him pull me there while also disagree enough to get to the point I really want.
Fair.
Yeah. Maybe.
Are you okay with Hamas coming into our country?
Yeah. I couldn't care about our country.
What? You don't care about our country?
No. I have no allegiance to a nation.
Fucking totally, dog.
Okay, this is good. I love this. I love your honesty. Are you an American citizen?
I don't give a
I
fuck
am.
about this country. He loses his mind. Of course, I don't want Hamas in the country, but
Yeah.
what the fuck am I supposed to answer there?
But you do not care about who comes in this country, and you don't even care about America.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Based answer.
Do you care about your mom dying?
Yeah, of course.
But do you care about Steven's mom dying?
Okay, we found something. I do too. I care about my mom dying. We found something in common. Would you care whether someone comes into our country who is a member of Hamas, who hates the United States and hates the citizens of the United States who pay tax dollars to support Israel, and blows up a mall that your mom is shopping in? Do you care about that?
All I would care is that my mom died,
Yeah.
and that they're that they're radicalized religious people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that strikes, is that radical religion would make me mad. But like at most, like I'm pissed that my mom's dead.
Yeah, not like how they immigrated here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It seems irrelevant to the bigger picture.
I of course would care that she died.
No,
But
not only
I
that she
wouldn't
died,
care-
but she died at the hands of a illegal immigrant who came in illegally, who is a member of Hamas. Do you care about that?
I wouldn't. No.
Wow.
I see it this way. I want to go
Wow.
anywhere in the world I want to go, and
Why?
I don't see why. Because I feel that's being free.
Do you live by yourself
A partner, but yeah,
in an apartment?
rent a house. Sure.
You rent a house?
Yeah.
I can come in your house anytime I want?
It's a smart question.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh my god.
I'm being honest.
I like to be free
No,
too.
I think
I want to be free to come in your house anytime I want. Is that okay?
no.
Why do you have a double standard for your house and not the country?
It's my fucking house, dog. I think the main difference there, I think that's a logical fallacy. But
Yeah.
Aside from that, I think we've even talked about this in conversation of like, should people be able to like vandalize and burglarize your home? And it's like, sure. But if they come in my house, they have to be ready that I, might retaliate, or I'm going to, defend myself or my things if if I'm need be, whatever. I think that's on par with the similar thing of like, if you come up in here and you just want to like loiter and do whatever, if you're coming in to like help me, do my drywall or whatever the fuck else, like that's whatever, uninvited, but we can work that out. If you're coming in to, fuck shit up, then we're going to go back and forth. I don't know. I feel like there's
intent matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I forget where we landed on vandalism, because it's tricky. I feel like he's asking the right question to frame me a certain way while also getting at the root of the argument. Like, I think that is a good and fair question for him to ask, but I needed a better response there. What is the difference between someone coming in your country without permission and someone coming in your house without permission? The difference in my mind gets to, I feel like people should have the right to enter a country, while I don't think they should have the right to enter a random house.
Yeah.
I feel like to be free in this world, I want to go anywhere I want. I want to be able to have the right to enter different countries. Assuming I'm not hurting anyone or doing anything bad, I think that's the way the world should be. I realize it's not, but I don't think people have the right to enter other people's homes.
Right. Yeah. When you travel abroad, you're not showing up with into the other country like, well, I have my passport, just let me in. Hey, it smells like y'all are making coffee in there. I'm getting thirsty.
Scooch over in that bed.
Yeah, let me just scooch over.
Comfy.
Let me just get in there. What are these blankets? Wool?
So a lot of this conversation, and I will note, he was born in Canada, lived there his whole life until like maybe a year or two ago, I think, that he legally immigrated to the US. So I feel like part of his deal is that he's one of those people that did it the right way, right? He did it how you're supposed to, paid all the money, went through all the processes. He deserves to be here because he followed the rules, not because he had a right to be here, but because he did it the right way. And I feel like that shades some of his thinking. Now, what I don't understand with people's views on America is I feel like part of what is supposed to be the American dream is that anyone can come here and anyone can make it.
Yeah.
And that is completely gone. That is not part of our culture.
The image that was sold to us as children. It's
Bring
definitely
me your poor, huddled masses.
It's
You're
absolutely
sick and poor.
sold to other countries. If you go to other countries, especially in Europe, and you watch the TV there, you will see ads about "Come to America." Start, move here, immigrate, bring your business here. There's ads on television like that.
So for me, that's ingrained, right? Like, I want anyone to be able to come here and throw their dice into the lot,
Yeah, exactly.
But his point of view is that's irrelevant. It's based on practical realities, legalities, and logistics of space and need for people to be here. Do we need workers to be here? Then we let in X amount. If we don't need them, they don't have the right to be here. And I feel like maybe that's even part of not being from here. He wasn't sold that, right? He wasn't sold that idea. He chose to be here because he thinks it's a great place. And a lot of people here don't think it's a great place.
Yeah.
They I think yearn for the true version of an American dream. That's just not our world.
Usually that migration goes the other way, where people move to fucking Canada.
I don't know. I don't know what the higher rate of immigration is.
I hear a lot of people talk all the time about moving to Canada.
Yeah.
It's on both sides of the fence. That, you know, during when Barack Obama was elected, they were like, if they elect him, then we're moving to Canada. And it's like, you're not going to like Canada either.
Just take away your guns. No one's, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have guns up there.
It's funny because this, in like post-debate world, he framed me as like this lefty, right? Like he labeled me somewhere on the videos that, and I don't think I'm really a lefty. I think I probably lean left, but I definitely would agree with him on freedom of speech and gun rights. And I don't feel like my political instincts are based off parties at all. I think it's really what I see as right or wrong. He talks about he's pro justice, right? He's
yeah.
I feel like the justice is to let in anyone. It's the maximize people's potential, right? I want this to be a place where anyone can maximize their potential, and I think doing so is what would be justice. Unless they've done something here to hurt someone, I don't understand the problem. And I asked him at one point, what percentage of people do you think are good or bad, right? He replies, it's a very small percentage of people that are really good or really bad. And to me, that's like the root of the question.
Yeah.
Why can't we let in as many people as we want if we ultimately both agree that most people aren't bad people that are going to do bad things? Because I feel like I even think it's everyone's 50-50. But on like a nationwide scale, people try to prevent bad things. And I don't think the small amount of bad people are ever just going to completely overwhelm good people.
Yeah.
So the difference comes down to our level of risk. And that's what we kind of get into here.
Why do you have a double standard for your house and not the country?
I think because there'd be an implication of not necessarily violence, but I think we should be able to have a right to privacy in our own space, right? But I don't like. I think there could be an argument that maybe not everyone could just go anywhere and live there permanently.
But you just said you like freedom. You like to go wherever you want. But there's limits to that, right? You don't go into other people's houses.
Yeah.
Sure, I agree. There would be limits.
Why do you stop at houses and not countries?
Because I don't feel like just because someone's born in a place randomly that they should be limited to that forever.
Well, they can't. Well, I agree with you. Like, they don't have to be limited, but they have to ask permission before they go into a country. Just like I would ask permission before I come into your house.
Well, then a more, I guess, exact version of what I would think is then
Still a difference of public versus private domain.
a country shouldn't prevent other people from coming. Maybe I could meet you in the middle and say it's not great that anyone breaks the rule and comes in, but more the country shouldn't have the rule that people couldn't come.
So 1706, I try to build a bridge with them here and say, I can kind of get behind the idea that people should ask permission, right? Ideally, everything's on the up and up. We know who's coming, where they are.
Right.
To keep things as safe or prevent disease, any of that shit. I understand that, and that would be ideal. But I feel like that kind of relies on the condition that I don't feel the country should be excluding everyone either.
Right.
Just like with the trans stuff, I feel like the vibe he's putting out is he just doesn't like immigration, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any rules a country has that you are for? Like, should a country have
Yeah.
a rule that murder is bad and you can be locked up?
Yeah, I'm totally good with putting away people that kill people.
Okay.
There's so many caveats
Yeah.
I have on that, but I just had to agree for conversation.
Yeah.
So you are for some law and order. You're for murder is bad. We should lock up people. Are you okay if a murderer flees from the police? Is it okay to chase them?
This is where his questions get really good.
Yeah, I would say most of the time.
Okay. Let's say they're in a back alley and they're running away from the police. You're saying it's okay to chase them. Let's say there's police on the other side of the alley. Is it okay to put a gate to trap them? So they can't go through.
Is it okay to place a gate
Yeah.
so they can't escape the alley?
Yeah. To prevent them from escaping.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to sound more confident that
Okay. Now imagine the alley is a country and we got a Hamas person who if we could do a background check, we would know they're Hamas, know they've killed innocent civilians, and imagine they're in that alley and that gate is our border. We stop them from coming in. Is that so bad?
This is a convicted murderer they're talking about.
No, not necessarily. But then my contention would be that, sure, if we agree that our borders aren't closed, we can have immigration, but we're going to check to make sure they're not extremist terrorists.
Yes.
I could agree with that.
Hey,
Sure.
You're coming closer to my side by the second.
See, he's getting kind of a gotcha on this, but I don't feel like this is really what my difference was at the beginning. And part of this is I fell down his funnel system, right? Like he's getting me through his dialogue tree. But my disagreement is not that we're checking who people are. It's that in the United States, we're stuck with a binary political system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because of that, he is voting for people that want to keep out as many people as possible.
Right.
And because I'm faced with the binary, I am going to vote for whichever side gets in as many people as possible.
Right.
The how the background checking works is not the substantial part of the argument to me. And he's got me kind of pinned down to say I'm letting in Hamas terrorists because I want to let people into the country, which is not the same
It's not
as saying I just want people to be able to enter the country.
Exactly. It's a starkly different point.
But he's got me here. Like he asked the right questions. The question with you, this is his chain of questions. He's truth and justice, immigration. Are we allowed to imprison murderers? Right. I'm going to have a ton of caveats, but as a general thing, yes, I think we can cage murderers. I probably don't want it to be the same way he does, but yes, I agree with that. Then can police chase people? And I'm nervous in my answers because I'm worried he's going to walk me into the trap. Of course, police can chase people. I don't want them doing high-speed chases for a petty theft, but yes, police can chase people.
Right.
The police are chasing someone down an alley. Can they pursue down the alley? Yes. Can the police place a gate at the end of the alley? Yes. All of a sudden, that gate is our border, and all of a sudden the criminal is Hamas. And of course we would allow the police to do that because we don't want terrorists into our country.
Right.
Now, he asked those questions on the fly. He was not prepared for this particular line of questioning, but he set that up multiple questions ahead. He's doing this very quickly, and he made, and in his mind, what he is hoping to craft is an equivalent situation to catch me into thinking I'm okay with terrorists entering the country.
Right.
Where my initial contention is just that I don't want to vote for the people that want to keep everyone out.
Right.
So at this point, I feel like he's kind of got me pinned a bit, and I think that's primarily to our different him just being a much more experienced practice debater, and I have to kind of shift out of it here. And I feel like after this point, I start coming off stronger and getting more to the root of what things are about.
I agree with you. I think, but remember what I started with? I said, shouldn't we know who comes into our country? You said no. But now you're saying, well, maybe we should know whether they're a terrorist.
Now I'm a Republican. He got me.
I'll get your MAGA hat in the mail.
Oh, yeah.
I've used my skills in rhetoric to slowly manipulate you onto the Republican side.
He's got a sense of humor. He's funny.
I think I would agree with you at the beginning, but I don't feel.
I think I would have agreed with that at the beginning. It's because that's not the question I was getting at.
For me, it doesn't feel like the specific amount of checking who they are is important as allowing people to enter.
But I think he's doing well at making me look like a dumbass.
I am all for allowing people to come into our country, help support our country.
But he's voting for the people that don't.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're not criminals, but we need to know if they're criminals or not. If they're not bringing in diseases, like then they need to be healthy first and vaccinated first, all these things. I'm all for letting immigrants into our country. I'm an immigrant.
I think he sounds stronger than he is there.
So I'm just curious, how does it feel when a lot of the Republican talking points are to exclude as many immigrants as possible?
you came from Canada not to escape hardship, but to vote for Donald Trump.
Opposed to maybe where you're at, where that's not quite how you feel.
How does it make me feel? Number one, I would say all the Republicans I know personally don't feel that way, don't share that. They basically are...
I hate this point.
Feel the same way I feel. That, yeah, if our country has a need, bring in immigrants, but we got to know who they are.
See, this is what I hate, because his experience of who Republicans are is not the average American Republican. The average Republican voting for Trump, granted the MAGA crowd is more extreme than the old school traditional Republicans, but these Republicans, the average response is not that, hey, we just want to know everything's on the up and up, and that we can take as many people as is beneficial to the country. The average Republican is a lot closer to, we don't like immigrants, keep them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I wouldn't even go as far to say, like, I think it's bad when people more on the left say, like, all Republicans are racist, evil, bad people. I don't think that. I don't think the average Republican is even necessarily, like, a racist or anti-immigrant, but they think they're doing what's best for the country. This is what we have to do to preserve America, right? It's closer to that than to outright racist. So, not all Republicans are like racist, evil, horrible people, but all racist, evil, horrible people are Republicans. And his experience as a Canadian who came to America to say all the Republicans he knows are super rational people who just want what's best and most practical for the country is not the group he's voting for. And when he says that's his experience, that kind of leaves me at a loss. I felt a little befuddled, and I don't know how to argue that. Like, how am I supposed to argue, like, hey, you can feel that way and reduce to the binary? That makes sense you're voting that way. But that is not the language of the Republican Party today.
It's not the language of the voters. It's not the language of the
leadership.
The leadership. That's the thing, is like, it's fair to say that it's more online with they are doing what they think is best to, like, as you said, preserve the country or do what's best for America kind of thing. But when those policies and ideas affect widely in an unbalanced fashion, you know, minorities and people from other countries, whatever, that's when it's coming through as racist. Like, it's not so much that it was made in the way of being racist from the get-go, but its effects are affecting, almost strategically so, people of certain races and backgrounds.
And here's the thing, that I can't even necessarily blame people on that fact, right? If you're a Republican who's like, hey, I don't want to let anyone in the country because I think it's going to degrade this fucking cat, our safety, and take away jobs from people I care about, I think that's a valid concern. But what I really don't understand is how the Republican Party's identity is based off like Christianity, religiosity, oftentimes with the white race. And these people who are supposed to care about everything or everyone, care about their fellow people and stuff, just don't give a fuck about helping people less fortunate. I don't understand how it can be we're Christian. This dude spent 40 years as a Christian, and at no point during that did it ever occur that we should help the less fortunate immigrants. Now, he keeps trying to frame me as the person that feels sorry for people. And I think he's both right and wrong. I don't walk around feeling sorry for people that can't get in the country or from terrible places. I just think what would be just is that we allow them the opportunity to help themselves. Right. I don't have to feel like, oh, so bad. But I think it would be right to allow them to maximize their potential. Right. And he does a really good job framing me as like a bleeding heart. And it's so funny because, I mean, you know me, I'm very empathetic and caring, but I also don't really give a fuck about people that much. I'm probably
on the individual level.
Yeah, like I'm probably even more dead inside than Doug, but I just think I have a better idea of what's actually right and wrong. Drives me nuts.
I'm inside Doug.
Dead inside Doug over here. Fucking Pinecreek.
Yeah. If our country has a need, bring in immigrants, but we got to know who they are, and know that they're going to not be a burden to our society, but a blessing. Not be criminals, not spread disease. Like, to me, this is just so common sense, so incredibly reasonable that we ought to have a legal system where they come in through a port of entry, paperwork, everything, all the T's crossed, I's dotted, instead of just letting them cross in.
Fill out paperwork when you get here like you do with customs.
I don't feel like most Republicans think that.
Well, poll them. I don't know. But who cares? Who cares what most Republicans think? I'm telling you what I think. And do you agree with it?
Sure. But a lot of the policy around immigration is not going to reflect what you believe on that. Mm-hmm. A lot of the policy is
I agree.
To exclude as well.
So
I would rather I personally, and I can understand where you're at, but I personally would rather there be no border than to have a border that keeps everyone.
Right. So your main contention is you want more immigrants.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So let's say, I don't know what the current immigration is, like the legal current immigration, but let's say it's 50,000 a year or 100,000 a year. What if I told you I'm going to become president someday, hypothetically, and I'm going to allow 1 million immigrants in? You would support that, right? 1 million per year.
Bring it on.
I think I agree with
let's get it popping in this melting pot.
The idea you're getting at. I don't know what percentage of people that would be or how many people that's turning back.
We need more flavors in this soup.
My concern was I don't know if that's enough people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers.
But let me ask you this. Would you rather have me bring in 1 million immigrants?
I mean, we have the room.
That are...
Yeah.
They all have degrees. They all have PhDs, in fact. And they also are very entrepreneurial. And they have all net worths of over $1 million each. I can bring in those people, or I can bring in people who have no degrees, who have no money.
We have the room. We have the jobs. There's plenty of jobs.
We need labor, low labor, skilled. We need it all. Like the more people, the better on average for countries. I mean,
Yeah.
And they're not criminals. None of them are criminals. But which a million people would you rather me bring in as dictator of the United States?
Whoever's fucking willing to come.
he's asking me which is better, but yeah.
I mean, of course, it's better to have the smarter, more accomplished people, but I think there's an argument for either. I don't know.
Bro, I'm a man for the people.
Why is it better to have
how strong.
Yeah.
Why is it better to have smarter people in the country rather than stupid people?
Trash cats are for the children, bro.
Plus, we have enough fucking stupid people here already. We don't need any goddamn more.
I mean, it's going to tend to serve the country better. But I feel like there's this thing that's been lost with America, the idea of
Getting back at the American dream. He doesn't even seem to know that's a thing.
that anyone could be here, that anyone could have a chance, that we let people in who maybe aren't the smartest, aren't going to serve the country the best. And that I think that is a good thing too. And there's a ton of
Yeah, I agree. Like you can have charity. You can let people who might be a bit of a burden to our country, but then you got to view it as charity or a gift.
I don't know if it necessarily is charity.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a need for low skilled jobs too.
Yeah, I agree.
But he does think it's charity in his mind.
Yeah.
Allowing the low skilled labor that makes all the shit he needs to survive is charity.
Yeah.
But still, I agree. Low skilled labor is needed, but should be legal, right? We know who they are.
Just like people that work at McDonald's shouldn't make a livable wage, even though if McDonald's shuts down, everyone's going to be pissed.
Pinecreek can't get his McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
We know where they're coming
I would
from.
say I'd say it's ideal we know who they are, where they're coming from. But to me, I think that's less important than
Then what?
or comparatively, it's better than the amount of people we don't allow in.
So I feel you're suffering from this illness I feel sorry forism.
That's funny.
You feel so sorry for poor people from other countries that you'd rather risk letting in a Hamas terrorist than to reject some of those poor people. Is that what I'm hearing?
They're not mutually exclusive.
Exactly. I wasn't separating that well.
It's one of my least favorite things is when people try to do the gotchas like that. And it's like,
I mean, that's what debate is, right? I want to go back. I had one good comment here.
You feel so sorry for poor people from other countries that you'd rather risk letting in a Hamas terrorist than to reject some of those poor people. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think
sure sounds like it.
On the opposite, I think people in America feel so entitled that they should be here and no one else can.
Base.
Or that we happen to be born in the right place.
Get fucked.
yeah.
You weren't. You don't deserve to be able to leave and try to change your situation.
Let me ask you this question. There's 10 people at the border. One of them is a Hamas terrorist. The other 9 are poor farmers from Ecuador looking for a better life. Do you let all 10 in? You can only let 10 in or 0 in. Do you do it?
This is good.
I'd probably let all 10 in.
So you would let 9.
So 10 people at the border. 9 are Ecuadorian farmers. 1 is Hamas.
Mm.
What's your answer? Who do you all or none get in?
All or none get in?
Mm-hmm. That's the hypothetical he's thrown at me, essentially.
Like, all.
That's what I'm saying. Now, his point is because of this one Hamas terrorist, we can't risk letting them in. Now, when it's framed that way, opposed to the Republican talking points today, because this conversation is basically he's saying my views are not the exact same as the Republican Party, but when it comes to immigration, maybe it is he's the same in other ways, but when it comes to immigration, when these 10 people are at the border, I'm not willing to risk the greatness of America because of one Hamas person out of 10 or 9 other farmers. He's not willing to risk that. When he frames it like that, I can understand his answer, and I think that is much more rational than the average Republican talking point on immigration. I can understand his point of view, and I can't say that is inherently a bad or wrong thing to believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I disagree. I don't think because 1 out of every 10 people could be a terrible person that we don't let 9 other people maximize their potential.
Right.
It's like the quote about prison, right? I would rather, what was it, like 9 guilty people get out than 1 innocent person be convicted, right? Like,
right. And
it's different ways of thinking.
It's a hyperbolic thing in the way that you've already decided that you agree that there should be, like, if we know that he's a fucking terrorist, like a known terrorist, and we know that before having to make this choice, then you don't have to let him in. That's not what we're saying. It's like, you're not saying it's all or nothing. That's not the situation.
But when it is framed as an all or nothing hyperbolic question, I mean, hypothetical he's posing is a good question.
Yeah, I still agree that, like, I'm still going to be in favor for the 9, despite the 1
every time. I understand his answer, and I think the question he's asking is good, even though it frames me a certain way. It is a good question because it gets at the root of what our difference is, and that's what good debate does. And after this conversation, I talked quite a bit to John because I think he's not as interested in talking about these things like philosophy and politics as me, but he understands philosophy. Even though I don't like all of his conclusions, he understands philosophy and debate, I think, better than I do. And we were running through some of these questions, and he was giving me kind of doing the same thing we're doing. Like, how could I have better critiqued or like got better questions or answers? And this is what the question he posed me to ask Doug was. He said I should have said, if the U.S. could accurately process every single immigration request and know with 100% accuracy they were decent, law-abiding people, would you let them all into the country? So I think that is an excellent question because this gets to, do we really not want them to be here because they could be dangerous, or do we just not want them here? Now, I was able to get this question to Doug post-debate in YouTube comments, and this is his answer. He says, not if we are taking in 100 million, which I don't know why the assumption is 100 million. I don't know if that's an accurate number or not. And B, it's a smart answer, but I don't know if 100 million is even bad. And then he goes on to say, one of the legal requirements is the country needs the immigrant other than amnesty or family sponsorship, in quotes. So he's saying we can't take 100 million and only if the country needs them outside of amnesty or sponsorship. But yes, I am for more immigration as long as there is a need and it's all legal. So he's saying his truthful answer is not that he cares that they're immigrants, but as long as we need them and it's legal, which honestly is better than the average Republican answer. But I just don't understand. You would think 40 years of what would Jesus do would, I don't know, push him a little closer into maybe it's not just because we need them, because they serve us, but that maybe they can serve themselves even. You know, it's just, I think that's the difference in worldview of empathy. It's not just who has the right to be here. It's, I don't know. I see it as everyone should have an equal opportunity to maximize what they're capable of, regardless of the direct benefits or pros or cons for the country. And he clearly does not see it that way.
For the record, This is from the Migration Policy Institute, a profile of the unauthorized population of the United States. That's people that aren't considered American citizens or moved here illegally. Unauthorized population is estimated to be currently just residing in the U.S. total is 11 mil. The U.S. population as a whole is, the last time I checked, it was like 330 million. So 100 million is a third of the population, but also that's a wildly crazy estimate.
I don't know if it is. If I'm going to stand his argument a bit, I would imagine over 5 to 10 years, if we had the borders completely open, I could see 100 million people coming.
Every year?
No, not every year. Over that 5 or 10 years. That seems possible.
It seems possible.
And that would be our country a fourth bigger, right?
Yeah.
He's saying that would be inherently bad, and his primary concern is safety, right? I can understand that concern, but his secondary concern, which seems closer to the truth of the matter, is that we don't need them, and it would not serve our country best. That seems what his biggest concern is. I disagree with that, and I feel like if the borders weren't there tomorrow, over the next 10 years, our country is not going to fall apart. I think we're capable, at least, of figuring it out. And if the choice is between no one gets in and everyone, I'm choosing everyone, and I think it can get figured out, even if it is rough. I still think that's ultimately better than what the Republican Party wants today.
To put it in D&D terms, when you're, before the adventure, when you go to the store and you're deciding on what items to buy, and you're looking at that grappling hook, but you don't know if you need the grappling hook or if you're going to need the grappling hook, maybe eventually, but you don't need it right now because you're in a store. So you go off on your adventure and then, maybe you need the grappling hook. You don't know what to expect out there. Just get the grappling hook.
What is the grappling hook in this hypothetical?
Immigrants.
How does this connect at all? You're just thinking about D&D and grappling hooks.
I mean, maybe a little bit.
That's so fucking funny. That would always be his point, is like, we don't know if we need the wall, but we should build it.
Yeah.
That's his. Now, dude,
you can turn that around. You're right.
Dude, as we get into this.
But if you build the wall, it's going to be harder to get over it if you need to.
That's why you bring a grappling hook.
That's why you bring grappling hook. Exactly right.
As we get farther into this, though, I feel like I get some excellent admissions out of him that I am more and more feel like I stumbled into it, but I think I did better at the end of this than I could have initially hoped for, because I get a couple admissions out of him that, if I were him, feel like big blows, and I think get at the truth of the matter. And this whole farmer situation, choosing who gets over the borderline, who gets over the wall, is where this, I feel like I start getting him here. He's still leaving me around a bit, but I feel like I get some good shots in coming up.
Let me ask you this question. There's 10 people at the border. One of them is a Hamas terrorist. The other 9 are poor farmers from Ecuador looking for a better life. Do you let all 10 in? You can only let 10 in or 0 in. Do you do it?
I'd probably let all 10 in.
So you would let 9 in who are good farmers, but the one Hamas terrorist?
In retrospect, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was down to that binary, I mean, I wouldn't want that to be the choice. But if I'm stuck between voting
this is feel sorry for him. Let me change it a bit. I'm curious. I'm very curious. One Hamas terrorist who's a known killer, and one farmer from Ecuador. 2 people at the border. You can either let both in or none in. Do you let them in?
That was smart.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Have to.
See, in my opinion, the benefit that one poor farmer from Ecuador could give the country does not outweigh the Hamas
I agree.
terrorist.
What I agree. What percent of people in the world do you think are good or bad?
Oh, a very small percent. But in general.
So
Let's
say.
But Sky Zix.
Xavier, please.
You got to remember that people who are at the border, the southern border, is probably going to be a higher percentage than general population because some of them are fleeing their countries for a reason.
This was a terrible point on his part.
Yeah.
This revealed his thinking.
And that reason could be because they're criminals. So let's say it's still.
It could be.
Let's say it's only 1%.
But is that your implication that
It was his implication.
Yeah.
And then he walks it back.
more necessarily are criminals?
No. I can even grant that. I can even grant that it's only like equal to the general population. But my point is this:
That's fair.
We still ought to know who's who, and we can have a system where we nothing's foolproof, but we can still have a system where we let in people who we know have no criminal record and keep out people who do. So in other words, I would answer the same hypothetical questions as no, I would not let those 10 people in, and no, I would not let those 2 people in. And if those 9 farmers get screwed because of it, they can go cry back in Ecuador. This is a sovereign nation. We're not going to let terrorists into our nation that are known to be terrorists.
So let in the farmers and stop the terrorists.
So this is why I don't suffer from feel sorry for them like you do. You say yes because you feel sorry for the 9. They just want a better life.
I feel we are the same as them, and that I have no more entitlement to be in a place that is better
in quotes.
than someone who isn't here.
Oh, see, now you're describing what I call I gotta be careful. You're feeling guilty.
No, I don't feel guilty. It just is what it is.
He's trying to diagnose me instead of the issue here, which is
Yeah.
clever, but bullshit.
You feel like you're an American citizen who doesn't deserve to be here, or just
No, I deserve to be here as much as anyone else, but we all didn't do anything to be here.
except
It's
for
just
me.
What happened?
I just don't give a fuck about America, but it's a good place. I want people to be here if they want to be here.
Right.
But you got your citizenship, I think.
I in a lot of ways, legal immigrants have more right to be in the United States than people who are just born here. I had to get health checked, FBI, CIA checked. I had to get revaccinated. I had to pay a ton of money, and I had to pass a test.
Who the fuck cares, dude?
Yeah.
I had to work to become a U.S. citizen.
You chose to do that. And that's
you're
fine.
so worthy, our
You-
Canadian friend. So worthy.
Unlike most other citizens. I can say I deserve to be here
Okay.
more than you.
I said, okay.
That could be true.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of immigrants like myself probably value the United States and respect the United States way more than its naturally born citizens do.
So let them in, and they can teach
Yeah,
us
let 'em in.
our better
Yeah,
work ethic.
They can teach us, or they're going to realize why we don't like it. They'll realize it's a facade.
I don't disagree.
Okay. But I think where we're different is this exactly that 1 to 10, 1 to 9 ratio and the 1 to 2 ratio. I am maybe a little more risk adverse than you are.
I think that's the root of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is risk.
I'm not willing to bring in terrorists for the sake of
That's
9 people who want a better life.
probably true.
Yeah.
To me, that
I'd start doing. This is where I turn it around on him a bit.
it just seems like it feels almost like punishing people because other people are bad.
Yes.
Even
It is.
He says yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I just can't get with that.
Okay. Here's what that can help you with this.
It's important he acknowledge that answer.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a tough pill for you to swallow. But I do agree with you. It's a form of punishment for the 9 to pay for the sins of the one Hamas. But you have to get over the fact that nobody has the right.
Keep in mind, I'm coding medical records at the moment.
Yeah. You're getting paid for this debate. You should send this to your boss.
Nobody has the right to live in the United States other than its citizens and permanent residents.
No one even has the right to be here or to be helped. It's factually true.
Nobody has in the world has the right to even be helped by the United States.
But I don't want the world to be that way.
Right.
If you can say that to yourself 3 times before you go to bed every night, nobody from South America, Africa, Asia, Europe has the right to live in the United States. Nobody, unless they do it legally. Repeat that back to yourself.
I don't disagree that that's like factually correct.
Okay.
But I don't want it to be that way. So I don't want to vote for because I want everyone to have maximum opportunity.
Starting to turn it.
I think you do too, but maybe our risk we're willing to take is clearly different.
Yeah. But
I don't want.
I like what you just said, though, because you made an implication there that I deeply agree with. You said you want everybody to have maximum opportunity by coming into the United States. So you're admitting the United States has a ton of opportunity. In fact,
He thinks he's got me on something.
Yeah.
Would you agree that the United States is the country where you can have maximal opportunity?
Yeah, it's probably one of the best countries in the world. I don't disagree with that.
Excellent. That's where we're agreed. I agree with you 100%. One of the best, if not the best country in the world.
Like, dude, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So we need to protect it, yes?
He thought I hated America.
Not to that extent.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
I think people are pretty much the same everywhere. And if the borders didn't exist, I don't think 10 years from now.
Do you think some people are better than other people?
Yeah, of course.
Based.
Yeah. Can you base yourself? Can you do that?
Oh, I double based myself. He's getting crushed, bro.
Do we want the better people or the worst people in our country?
There's just so many implications with that because
so many implications.
I don't think if it's totally open, we're all of a sudden going to have all of the worst people.
I know, but I asked a very simple question. I asked, do you think some people are better than other people? You said yes. Then I asked,
yes.
Don't we want the better people in our country rather than the worse than people?
It's a stupid fucking question.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to, in order to do that, we got to figure out who they are.
Practically, I mean, that is correct.
But you're erring on the side that is going to punish the most amount of people compared to what I would want.
You can't punish someone who doesn't have the right to be here in the first place.
But like you just said earlier, not letting the good people in because the bad is the punishment.
Yeah, I agreed with you, but it's because of this expectation. Like nobody has the right to be in the United States.
So I'm starting to flip the script. I feel like we got in a good back and forth flow at this point in the conversation. It took like 30 some minutes to get in, but we found our differences. The difference is it's not that he's going to vote Republican and I'm leaning Democrat. It's that he doesn't think people have a right to be here and he's not willing to risk much because it could hurt the country.
Right.
And my retorts to that are essentially, I don't feel the risk is nearly as high as he makes out. Certainly not as high as the Republican Party makes out. And I don't know if I would say everyone has a right to be here, but I think it should be okay that everyone wants to come here and that our country should encourage that as much as possible.
Right.
So I'm willing to be flexible. I'm not demanding no borders exist. I'm not demanding we have no idea who comes in.
Right.
But in his arguments, he can easily outmaneuver me to make sure that's how my position sounds. And I'm finally just getting to the point in the conversation where we know our differences now, and now I can expose what your position really is. And I think previously in his streams, in his conversations, most of the time, I feel like he's able to make his points without ever having to truly reveal his most core, most true position.
Yeah.
I feel like we flushed that out a little bit, and now I am literally going to put the decision in his hands on how it should be handled. My goal at this point in the conversation is to expose what I feel like is a level of cruelty that he holds in his position. So my goal, in a way I stumbled into it, in a way I kind of know what I'm doing, but my goal at this point in the conversation is to get the gun in his hands. And I mean, I'm kind of still stunned to things he's willing to admit, or the traps he's willing to walk into, the bullets he's willing to bite, and we're just about there. So
All right.
kind of excited for this.
But like you just said earlier,
They're-
not letting the good people in because the bad is the punishment.
Yeah, I agreed with you, but it's because of this expectation. Like, nobody has the right to be in the United States.
Wasn't that the whole idea of America was that anyone could be in the United States?
Legally.
He's factually correct. I just don't care.
That process used to look a lot different than today.
Well, yeah,
Right?
because
I mean-
the world has changed. But the thing is,
Sure.
are you aware that 70% of all people who request amnesty into the United States are denied?
I've listened to this conversation a few times. I still don't know what the fuck point he was trying to make there, because I feel like that argument is for my side. He's just said, "Do you know the U.S. denies?"
I think what from what I'm assuming is his point
Please,
is that
help me.
there are more people that are trying to get in than what you will see as people that are coming in. So like when I just pulled up numbers earlier, he's saying that number should, of if everyone who was trying to get in was allowed, it would be 70% higher.
From my point of view, he's telling me, granted, tons of people that apply for amnesty aren't actually escaping the worst situation. That's what it's set up for. But a ton of people, right, are going to use that line because it's their best chance of getting in the country. I understand that. Mm-hmm. So let's say some amount are denied, even though I wouldn't want to deny that, right? But some amount are going to be denied. He's telling me, hey, don't you know we turn back 70% of people that have a real need to be here, that are fleeing? Exactly. And he thinks that's like a good point. And at this moment, I'm so confused because I have no idea what the fuck. I still don't really get why he's flaunting that as something on his side. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's making an argument for me at that point. Right. I didn't capitalize on it because I was so worried that he had made like an insightful, like I don't know. He realized something insightful, and he was so confident. I didn't know how to capitalize on it because I didn't understand
what the fuck he's coming from.
We're turning away 70% of people that are fleeing something violent. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Are you aware that 70% of all people who request amnesty into the United States are denied?
Exactly.
We got a lot of people coming around the world saying, I'm being persecuted in my country. The United States judges review their case and say, no.
That's why they do it. Yeah. Because we turn away 70%.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds
about
right.
3 out of 10 people get in through amnesty. But all 100% of them get in when they go cross, other than a port of entry. They don't even show up for the court hearing, and now they're in the country. We don't know who they are.
I agree. That's not ideal.
Making a concession there.
Not only is it not ideal, it's bad.
Because better policies would prevent the illegal immigration if we allowed more legal immigration.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is bad, and that's why maybe different policies would mitigate that. But
Right.
I think one side,
Like not letting anybody cross the border except for a port of entry.
Dude, this point he has is crazy.
If you see people, and this is why the wall was a good idea, because it's not so much from 100% stopping them, but from preventing the
no,
border
it's not
cross.
shit.
Because what some people do is they bring kids, and then it's really hard not to feel empathy and sympathy for kids coming across. But if you have a wall and you can't even see them, it's easier.
How unhinged. The wall's good because we can't see the desperate kid's eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
Fucking ostrich head in the sand type of shit.
Absolutely, dude. I feel like that was truth reveal moment.
But at some point, you just got to put your foot down and say, nobody breathing is crossing this line. And if you cross this line, we'll push you back. And if you're armed and you cross the line, we will kill you.
Oh man, here it comes.
yeah.
Men wearing that not soft clothing and
So are you willing to be the one with the gun that prevents them from coming? Because I don't want to do that.
No, I personally don't want to do it either. This is why we have real men in this world, to protect our borders. I'm not saying you and I are not real men, but you know what I mean.
But I don't think they are. I don't think being willing to kill someone who wants freedom or a better life.
See, this is that I feel sorry for them, because you do not know who is who. If you got people on the border,
Sure.
if you got a Hamas terrorist, and he's trying to cross in illegally, I want a border guard to shoot him dead, hit him right in the head.
I don't.
Why?
Because I don't want to kill people trying to maximize their opportunity.
True.
You don't want to kill. Did you hear what I said? A Hamas terrorist. You don't want to kill a Hamas terrorist who wants to come into our country?
Yeah, but to do that, you also have to kill all 9 of the farmers, right?
Well,
Right?
only if they
And you're
cross.
saying
only if they cross.
Yeah, we know they're going to cross.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the point. I understand his point of like, hey, we know they're a terrorist. Of course we want to shoot them. To me, that there's already so many problems with that. If it is a terrorist, don't we want to catch them?
Yeah.
Like, don't we want as much information out of them as possible? Don't we want to like, how do we know they're even going to be a terrorist when they get here? That obviously sounds so naive, but there's going to be tons of people that have had to resort to bad things before they're able to get a chance to do anything different.
If
like,
our boy General Butt Naked was out here trying to help people get across the border to a better life, and they said, "What? But this guy, he used to murder people,
cannibalize people,
yeah, exactly, and eat people and snort gunpowder and shit, and we can't let him in here. But he's a reformed
Christian man. Yeah. I don't know if he like. I feel the argument on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe someone can truly change to that extent.
Yeah,
But I don't want to make the assumption to just shoot them in the head.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I might have been willing to concede a bit. Maybe there are situations where I would shoot the Hamas person crossing the line. I'm not so bleeding heart that I'm just going to allow terrorists to do whatever they want.
Right.
Especially religious fanatics that I fucking hate as much, if not more than Doug. But his point of view required to shoot that terrorist, you also have to shoot every single other person who crosses the line.
Right.
And he's saying he's willing to take the shot to kill whoever it is that comes over, even if 9 out of 10 are farmers. And I'm saying, no, I'm not willing to shoot the Hamas guy because I don't want to shoot the other farmers.
Right.
And I think this is where I come off really strong, because now he's saying the strong men are the ones that do it. And I called bullshit and I said, no, you fucking do it. And he bites the bullets here. And I think it makes him look terrible. I do. I mean, I think especially to his audience, which is a ton of atheists, a ton of, I don't know, people that care a little bit more, or I don't even know if I care more, but I'm willing to take a higher risk to help someone than he is. Mm-hmm. And he's not willing to take that risk. So I said, fuck you, you hold the gun, and now we're going to see what the fuck he does.
Because he wears the soft clothes and eats the the fruits, the figs and honey.
Soft-ass Doug wants the rough strongman to do it for him.
Yeah, he wants Eric Kahn to be down there at the border. Eric Kahn and his assassin priests.
Doug doesn't have to pull the trigger because Eric Kahn will do it for him.
Yeah, damn right. All right, what time you got?
37:43.
All right, 1 second. Let me get there.
Just curious, how do you think I'm coming off in this so far?
Very good.
Do you think so? I feel like it wasn't as good as I'd like, but I feel like towards the end it gets better.
I think you're probably going to be a little bit more harsh on yourself because of, it's, the first time you're doing a podcast or whatever, or, something outside of your own spectrum. Also, you weren't prepared. And that's, I think in context, maybe I recognize that, but also, no, I think you're right. I stand by everything that you're saying on that.
Hell yeah.
All right.
It's because you're base too, bro.
Damn right. 37:44.
Yep.
Cap on a stack. 1, 2.
3, 2.
You don't want to kill. Did you hear what I said? A Hamas terrorist. You don't want to kill a Hamas terrorist who wants to come into our country?
Yeah, but to do that, you also have to kill all 9 of the farmers, right? Right?
Only if they cross.
And you're saying
and they don't.
But you're saying you want to vote for the guys that are willing to pull the trigger.
Yes.
You don't want to.
Says yes.
Yes.
I'm saying if you want to do that, then you should also be willing to pull the trigger.
This is a veganism argument.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pull the trigger.
Then I have to respect
Says
that
I'll pull the trigger.
decision. I don't want to make that decision.
Hey, no, I'm not. I'm not even being facetious.
Now I shame him.
If someone came into my house who was not invited and I feel threatened, I'll pull the trigger.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, if I feel threatened, I would too, for sure. But I think there's a difference between our house and a country that has a ton of room to allow people to be.
It's not about room.
So why?
Yeah.
It's about who is coming in.
I understand, but I don't want to be the one that kills anyone who walks over. And it sounds like you're willing to vote for the people that do want that.
No,
What's it about?
I'm saying you do not let anybody cross. And I said only if they, have weapons and they're crossing, kill them.
Now they got weapons.
I said that earlier. You're going to rewind the tape. I said armed.
I did mishear him. He was correct.
I might have misheard. It might have been the phone.
But what I'm saying is it's tougher. What's really tough is when people come with kids and there's no wall, no nothing. So you see them eye to eye and they walk across and you actually physically have to push them back.
Such a weird point. Why?
And they walk again. And
So-
you push them back and they walk again and you push them back. It would be very tiresome.
So if you're on the border security and there's the person with the children, you're not letting them in.
Nope.
Damn, Doug.
Nope.
That's rough.
The hard man over here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I appreciate your time.
I was trying to shame and bounce.
Like and this is what Hamas does in Gaza. They use kids as a political ploy.
He kept trying to bring it back to Israel and Hamas, and I just wasn't biting on that. Like, I think he tried that like 4 times, and that just wasn't... I think they're both doing bad things. I don't have a position to stake out there.
Yeah.
And I think just because it's relevant, they had been talking about it a lot. He kept trying to drag it there. But his whole point with the children's eyes, one of his mantras is to be a little more dead inside, right? I respect that. I try to implement that a bit. But also, I had said to him previously in an email, I want to be more passionate too. I want to use my anger, to use my emotions to change things or fight for things. I don't want to put my head in the sand, like you said, to not see the kids' eyes. So I'm so logical and analytical, I can push them away without feeling anything.
Yeah.
If you do have to push them away, you're supposed to feel something.
Right.
I had a
You
buddy.
have emotions for a reason, Doug.
Right. I had a buddy, I think we've talked about him on here before. Soldier, Afghanistan, came back, and I met him when he came back. So fucked up, dude. So fucked. And he would be in the desert, and these kids would be, they had to have these borders in the middle of the desert. that his job was to defend. He'd have a sniper, and these kids would wander across the desert, and the times they didn't shoot him, they all had a bomb strapped to them. All right, the terrorists would put a bomb on the kid, send him across the desert, and if the kid didn't do it, they'd kill the family. And my buddy's job was to snipe the fucking kids, right? He came back.
That's fucked.
And was destroyed, dude. If there was someone cooking barbecue within 3 blocks, he would have like a psychotic episode, like full freak out, because he could remember the smell of kids' flesh melting in the desert. Like, before the war, he would have said the same thing as Doug, right? We're not taking chances. We push him back. We use force if necessary. After the war, when he comes back and someone has a cookout and he can't fucking handle it anymore, I don't think his answer's the same.
Yeah.
I truly believe Doug, when he says he would pull the trigger.
I don't believe that.
I do. I think most people can't pull the trigger. I've listened to Doug enough. I think he would. But I think he'd be the same person that would be haunted by it forever.
Yeah.
I think he'd be willing to do it. I don't think he'd be willing to live with it. So when he says he would, I believe him. But I don't think he's not there doing it for a reason. He's not the hard man. He wants to protect him. And just like veganism, if you're saying, I'm willing to eat whatever, then you should be willing to kill it. If you're willing to push them all away from the border or shoot them if they cross the line, you should be willing to do it. And he says he would. I believe him, but I don't think he'd live with it well.
Yeah.
This is like, I think he kind of bullied me around for most of this, but I feel like getting him on these couple lines kind of made it worthwhile.
That's a fair takeaway on that, I think.
Tried my best.
Getting that, it's a long game.
Yeah. Something.
They use kids as a political ploy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
Oh, look, they have the Hamas leaders in the same house as a family of kids. And then when Israel bombs the Hamas leader or whatever, and all those kids die, see, look how terrible you are. This is what bad people use kids like this.
I understand. I'm willing to take a higher risk, I guess, to help someone.
Right, because you feel sorry for them.
It's not about feeling sorry for him. It's about feeling sorry for him.
He's putting so much connotation on how bad it is to feel sorry, too.
Yeah.
And he says he doesn't.
It's not about feeling sorry. And I don't go around feeling sorry for people less fortunate.
It is because you feel sorry for them. You feel sorry for poor people or whatever.
Why would you assume that opposed to that I just want people to have the same opportunities I've had?
Okay.
That I want.
Watch
that
this.
That I'm willing.
$1 million Chinese entrepreneur, a billionaire Chinese entrepreneur wants to come into the United States. Are you going to say the same rhetoric? I just want that Chinese billionaire to have the same opportunities as we do. You're not going to say that. You're going to say that about the poor person. Admit it.
I mean, kind of my whole point is that it would be anyone.
I feel like I answered right. My point is it would be anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think I came off as strong as I'd like, but in retrospect, my answer should have been, yes, I would advocate more towards the poorer, in quotes, person because they have the opportunity to maximize more potential, right? The Chinese businessman, he's right. They already have had the opportunities. Maybe it's different levels, but their level of maximum potential opportunity is already higher. So if the choice is between the two, I'm going to give it to the person who has the opportunity to maximize the most potential. So that would mean a lot of times I am taking the person that is less useful because I want them to have more opportunity by comparison to the person that's already doing well. Ideally, I want it to be anyone. But if I have to pick, it's not going to be the Chinese millionaire.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had that ready at the time, but my point was it should be anyone.
Yeah. I think you answered correctly on that. I think
I think so.
Being thrown a new hypothetical, I mean, as being someone who is throwing hypotheticals on this podcast on a weekly basis, new extreme hypotheticals, I feel like that's more than a fair way to respond because, you know, you take the time to consider what he's trying to say out of it. And then, you know, you have to put yourself into the hypothetical that they've just given you.
Right.
Recognize how you feel about it and why you feel about it. Then do you still feel, you know, do you feel like you agree with them or do you feel like you are still in the right?
And like you're saying, I'm still considering it. And to his credit, as soon as he's like, well, check this out, he's already got 3 questions to get me with that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he was almost implying like, you know, admit it that I wasn't going to be that I wasn't going to be fully honest. But I think throughout this conversation, both me and him have been very good faith. He's a little trickier, but we're both being good faith, and I'm giving the honest reply back. And
yeah.
My honest answer, it is everyone. I wish I could have emphasized that it would be about maximizing most potential, but it was an honest answer. I do think he sees that too, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
I mean, if our intuition's gonna.
If every single person who wants in the United States was a billionaire or a multimillionaire entrepreneur, well-educated with PhD, you wouldn't be talking like this.
Sure.
You wouldn't say, I just want them to have the opportunity. They have opportunities where they come from because they're rich, they're educated, they're whatever, they're successful. They've already succeeded. But you're saying you're using this language because you feel sorry for certain people.
Sorry. This is funny. I mean, sorry for shit, homie. It is what it is.
And rightful, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying, but what causes it to be bad is it lets in other people with nefarious intentions. In fact, people who come with kids at the border, I would say, are more likely to be a bad parent or bad father, and maybe not even a parent at all, than people who are smart enough not to come to the border with their kids and just hope to cross and risk the cartels and risk everything, like their wife being raped.
He's shading it, shading the argument.
I mean, if I'm a border guard and I see kids there, the probability is sky that there's something bad going on here with the adults.
No.
And I'd be less likely to have them cross because they have kids than more likely.
There's some practical truth to that, but that's...
Can I get an amen?
Still bullshit.
I think there's a lot of kids that end up coming just with the mom or with another relative. I don't think you could...
I should have hit harder here.
Make that judgment.
Yeah, that's not... that's a logical fallacy.
Anyhow, I'll let you go. It's been 4 hours for me, and I'm out of water.
Yeah,
there is some truth to it. Like, the reason, like, my buddy in the desert with the kids...
Yeah.
There is some truth to it that I think... Not that I fully understand, but that the average person doesn't understand. A lot of those kids are used as like decoys, distractions, like a means to a bad end that is done to manipulate people's empathy. I'm not naive to that. I think he thinks I am. I really do understand that. But just because the kids are there doesn't mean I should. Just like I don't want to assume that the kids are like demanding of more empathy doesn't mean I shouldn't also assume that they're demand more like justice or more likely a threat. Like he doesn't want to see their eyes, so his judgment is not shaded. And to the same point, I feel like I would want to see their eyes, but it shouldn't judge my decision either. Like if I'm going to let them in, it's not because I saw their eyes and the tears and I cried and let them in. That's not. He's almost framing as that is my argument. And I'm saying I understand the people with the kids may use them for bad ends, and maybe it is a risk. I don't agree that it's a higher risk like he wants to make it. We're not at a war zone border where people are sending suicide bombs. Maybe it is a slightly higher risk, but I'm not willing to let that shade my decision.
Right.
Apparently he's willing to do it. So
yeah. Yeah, it's not about I'm letting them in because I felt bad for them. I'm letting them in because fucking
The right
why
thing
not?
to do. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't understand. It bothers me that people, regardless of if he's atheist or not, he spent so much time with these arguments, so much time trying to pretend to do what Jesus would do. Like, how the fuck is I feel like I'm more dead inside. How the fuck am I the one that knows what is right?
Yeah.
I feel like he's supposed to know this. Like he's supposed. If that's why I felt so compelled to reach out to him, because I respect his other arguments. I genuinely appreciate what he does, and the politics is it's becoming a bigger part of his content. But it used to be like maybe 5%, and now it's a lot higher. And he's too good at arguing. Like, if he could change his views politically, he could be an incredibly powerful force for good arguments. And that's why I feel compelled to, even if it's a small bit, to try to budge him a bit, or at least try to expose where I think he's wrong at. Because if he could start arguing for a different argument, it would just he could be a absolute beast, you know?
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Gotta expose the cracks in the facade a little bit.
Yeah, maybe one. I mean, you know, it took him 40 years to change out of Christianity. Maybe it takes another 10 for politics, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
No one changes, very rarely. Like, I've seen him convert people out of Christianity in one argument. It's phenomenal. But the average person, especially someone very smart like him, you don't change your opinion right away. And very rarely ever in a debate. It's cracks that take time to shape and form and slowly change a viewpoint. So hopefully I did something.
Like, look at this. I got all my water bottles empty.
All good, Doug. I appreciate it. I just, I guess if I could put a point on where we got to, I think people that aren't willing to pull the trigger shouldn't, I don't know.
I was so close to nailing that. Yep. I made the point, but I didn't say it strong enough.
Yeah, well, I'll pull the trigger if that makes you feel better.
It does. Appreciate it. See you.
See ya.
Now this, I'm off the call at this point. What he says after I leave is good, though.
Okay, I'll read the chat a little bit.
It reaffirmed why I thought the call was important.
I'm convinced, like, most of the issues that separates the right from the left is feel sorry forism.
I think with a lot of people, it's not my issue, though.
Yeah.
Got the outro music going.
And he continues to talk after this?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a little slow, but...
No responsible parent is going to put their kid in that situation, and the caller's not a parent. Probably not a parent, but I agree, Stephanie.
Fuck no, not a parent.
If I'm a border crossing
Kids
guard,
are gross.
He's
see
obvious,
kids there,
but he's not a parent.
I'm going to suspect foul play.
They suspect foul play.
And not let anybody cross.
Yeah, don't let anybody cross because there was a kid there. Oh. What are you so scared of? I'm not scared.
This is why we need each other, though. I think Republicans are better at being... I'll say it this way. Republicans are being better at being cold-hearted than Democrats.
I like that, though.
I'm saying it in that way to resonate with the Democrats listening. You do need cold-hearted bastards at times to protect you and your nation. Just look kids in the eye and say, no. If you crossing means that guy crosses, no.
I disagree, but I do think we do need each other's balance.
Yeah.
You need guys like that on your wall.
You need
Few good men.
that sometimes, sure.
But I actually think the compassionate thing is to have strict border policies. That's the real compassionate thing. Because you are protecting the ones you love within your country by doing so.
I disagree, but I appreciate the acknowledgement.
But I phrase it the other way.
Acknowledgement of need for each other.
Because I just am a people pleaser. What would convince me of Christianity? Joshua, you take me to a graveside and you pray in the name of Jesus for someone who's been dead for years to rise, bubble up through the soil. That would convince me of Christianity. Nice joke, Jeff.
Jeff's got jokes.
My boy Jeff's a fucking jester.
Did we set a record?
No, that was
4 hours,
one of his
15
longest
minutes,
streams
not
ever.
quite.
I got him to stay. I didn't realize I was on with him for 46 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging
He
out.
normally doesn't go
I
that
might
long.
be back tomorrow.
This was one of his longer
Check for
streams.
me,
'Cause I caught him right
in the
at the
afternoon.
end, and then we went late.
Get him when he's tired. Get him when he's weak.
Yeah,
When his throat's getting dry.
I don't know. I feel both a little disappointed that I couldn't have come off stronger, and proud that I could get as hard of points in towards the end.
Yeah, I think you did really well, considering, especially that you weren't particularly like planned out for this one, but I think you did really well. Like I can see where you're upset you didn't push back on certain things, but considering I feel that on a somewhat weekly basis.
Damn.
not like all the time for shit, but there are certain things where I hear, but like that, I hear you say for a second time, and I realize the point that something that I say that I realize I didn't express that the way that I wanted to, or the way that I see it in my head. I didn't express that the way I wanted it.
I honestly, going back to the old episodes, I get that feeling so strongly. Like, this is our practice, right? This is like, I probably overstate how important I think it is, but I really do think like this is how you get better at doing that. And just talking to each other, I think there's probably some limits of how much it can better us in that, but it's still really good practice. And then when we do get out of our bubble or have people in, I think it helps even more. And it's just, to me, that the conversation with him is kind of why that matters.
Yeah.
And
I definitely feel more confident talking about like some of the more controversial things that we talk about on this podcast. I feel more confident talking about those things with people in real life, where it's most of the time the people that I'm around feel the same on many of the things that we talk about. But when encountering, it's usually customers and stuff. And like, there are certain things that like, I'm not willing to go there with somebody in the, this 30-second interaction when, I'm representing the company kind of thing. I feel more hesitancy on that, but I feel more confident that if pushed, I could make, maybe not change their mind, but make a stronger case than if it was just out of the blue, nowhere. Yeah. Yeah.
And calling into something, God, dude, I was surprised. It feels way more vulnerable than I expected it to, especially with someone as quick as him. It's just, you're definitely at a distinct disadvantage compared to being on like our own show or talking with a friend or whatever. But
you mentioned it didn't feel like it was 45 minutes. Like, how long in your head, how long did you think that conversation was?
I thought 15, 20 minutes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a thing with live TV. I've been on a few news spots, 3 of them. And it's usually like a 4-minute spot, which realistically, if you sat down and watched something for 4 minutes or, just counted down the seconds for 4 minutes, it's a decent chunk of time, but it goes by like fucking bam. Like you feel like you say a couple things and then they say a couple things and then it's over.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. The time dynamic of like when, I don't know if it's because of the pressure or if it's because you're focusing so hard on what you're doing in that moment that, it just
it's fucking bit of both. And And even like there were maybe like 200 to 300 people watching live, but it's definitely been watched like probably a couple thousand times. But I know 5 years ago, I never would have spoken in front of a couple hundred people. I know it's different online, but I still would have been way too apprehensive or not like general anxiety, but I would have been anxious of making a mistake. And I am glad I'm willing to like take that chance more now. So something we're doing is working.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that's enough. This is way longer than I intended it to go, but like it was okay.
Yeah. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. Thanks for giving me some notes on the debate. Definitely helped me a lot, or will help me a lot. So thank you.
Fuck yeah. Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcat's Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes, if you're super bored, you can check out my trash art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZSEX. Nothing's going on, but we'll be back one of these days, and just appreciate you, Trash Cats. Appreciate you sticking around and listening.
Hell yeah. Here's a call to action. Go Pinecreek.
No, I'm believing that. Go listen to Pinecreek. He's really, guys, check out his stuff. He does good stuff most of the time. And when he's wrong about politics, we're going to be there to show him the wrongs of his ways.
Imagine if one of the literal dozen of our listeners was like, all right, fucking bet. And they were just
dude, that's so...
Oh, god damn it. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash. Oh, that was funny, dude.